Good morning, everyone. Morning. Do you guys enjoy the event so far? Right. To be honest, I'm very excited to be here in this event. Right. This event is actually matters a lot because this is actually a non-profit and community-driven conference. And one of the biggest community-driven non-profit event we have. So I'm pretty excited to be here. So today I'm going to talk about. So throughout these 2 days of the conference, you're going to have a lot of heavy lifting topics, right? It's going to talk about state management or the build behind, build system behind. So I'm going to start, today even with something lighter, but something important, right? Because after all this UI is the things that your clients see, right? They look at your UI. They will, whether they like it or not, is most of the time they only look at the UI. Okay, so oops, I'm gonna need my clicker. Okay, so who is this shameless people? Okay, so a little bit background, even though Vim just do some introduction of me. So I'm Tong Sheng. I'm a front-end principal engineer in Cheetah Digital. So just a quick advertisement. So Cheetah Digital is actually a marketing SaaS company. So yeah, we are running in a global scale, and so I'm a front-end engineer there. So I also run the Google Cloud Developer Community. So if you are interested of Google Cloud technology, you can come to our event as well. And judging from my body, you can know that I really like food, and I hope you have your breakfast already because my slide is going to have a lot of nice food photos. Okay. So I assume most of the people has already heard of Angular Material. Like who didn't know about Angular Material design? Never? Nobody? Right. But just in case you don't know, so I also need to do some quick introduction. So Angular Material is a component library that built by Angular teams that actually built on top of the Google Material Design specification. Right. So you have a lot of nice component like buttons, drop down, and so on. Okay, so but today I'm not going to focus on the Angular Material component, right? You're already familiar with all this material library. But today I'm going to talk about something called CDK. So I assume most of the people do not heard about CDK yet. Anyone? Right. So no one is using. Okay, great. So you should try to use. Okay, so today, I guess my goal of this talk, right? My goal of this talk is I want people to go out from this room and start rethink about reusability, right? When we talk about reusability, I want people to start, think about, what kind of things you can be reused other than your component, right? Something that you can see. How about something that you cannot see, right? Oops. Okay, so right, so let's talk a little bit on the background. Okay, so back in the day, right? If you are actually a front-end developer 10 years ago and all stuff, when you build your company application, you actually has to reset the CSS, right? You has to write your own button, and then you have to style for your table. Right, because there's no such thing as CSS library back then, right? And then you have all this different kind of way to build your application, right? To minify your CSS and all those stuff. And again, you don't have those tools, right? So, but good thing, right? Things are getting better. We have more and more toolings to help us to actually make our life simpler. We back then we have Grunt, right? You can automate your build. You can write a script, a list of script to actually build your minify your CSS, and so on. And we have things like Bootstrap, right? You probably heard of Bootstrap. You have Bulma, Foundation, and all those CSS library that come with some default look and feel to kickstart your project, so you don't have to start from everything from the scratch, right? It makes things like beautiful. It's actually a blast for a back-end developer who actually don't know how to design, but they can actually utilize those libraries to make great stuff. Okay, but here's the thing, right? Google Material Design. It's a great design. It comes with a lot of good concept, you know, a lot of thought inside this design. But the thing is, right? Google Material Design have a very specific way they show their UI, right? Like this particular example, right? This is the Google Material staple. But in your company, right? In your company, not necessarily you have to have use material. Some companies, they prefer to have their own design system, right? A lot of companies are starting to build their own design system. I just name a few, like IBM, right? They have, I'm not sure what's the name, Carbon, or so Airbnb have their own design system. So everybody have their own design system, right? You don't want to type your company design system so strongly coupled with the material design, right? But it's maybe your company rather to have a stepper that looks like that, a little bit more like a common wizard and all those things, right? So, but then what do you see these two design in common, right? They both have a common pattern, actually, right? They both have a step-by-step wizard-like look and feel. They both render dynamic content into the placeholder when you go to different step, and so on. You can actually go to next step and then back and forth, all those things. So here's the thing: the UI might look different, right? The UI might look different, but the underlying mechanism on how you interact, right, might be very similar. Okay, so here's why. Here comes. That's why I'm talking to talk about this thing today. Okay, so Angular CDK. So what is Angular CDK? So CDK stands for Component Dev Kit, right? So, so CDK is a set of reusable tools, right? That is actually style agnostic. You can apply some of the common behavior, some of the common UI behavior into any type of design system, like Bootstrap, Boomer. Okay, so it only focuses on the behavior, and you can actually, without worry about the look and feel, right? So basically, that's it, CDK. So where they come from, okay? So a little bit background. So Angular has a dedicated team who actually works on the Angular Material library. So while they are building this library, right, they done an awesome job. They add a lot of tons of components, right? But then while they building this this library, right, they realize, right, they discover that there's a common pattern, right, between some of the library. Like for example, what is the common UI behavior that we have on this date picker menu and tooltips? Overlay, right? You have overlay. When you click, there's a drop down. There's an overlay. How about the tab and stepper? Though they both have a series of steps you can tap through, and then dynamic content, right? And then you have this dialog and side nav bar where you need to care about when the user press a key tab, they actually, when you open the modal window, the tab key is actually focused on this dialog box instead of the other part of the UI. So here you go. The common behavior. That's the thing we talk about, right? UI agnostic, UI behavior, interactive behavior. So they realize this, right? They think this is very useful for the developer who actually want to build all this UI component without writing their own interaction logic. So they actually, material team, they started from material, Angular material, now they have two, right? They have this Angular CDK and Angular material, okay? So these are the CDK part. Okay, so like I say, CDK is a package with lots of nice features and tools that you can use for your UI development. So these are the current package current features that we have, but you will see more and more kind of interaction coming. So they are constantly adding more and more these features. Right. So just a name. I'm not going to talk all features, right? You're going to have to explore yourself. But I'm going to talk about some of the things that interest me. Some of the things I think is really useful, like this accessibility tools where you can use like overlay, visual scrolling, and also the drag and drop. Right now, people like to do those Trello kind of look and feel. So today I'm going to do a few demo. So one of the demo is actually to show you how easy you can actually do a drag and drop interaction. Okay. So okay, well, I think in my my past speaking experience, actually trying to be funny, so I put a lot of like a funny memes. So apparently it doesn't work out. So this time I really warned myself not to make lame joke. So I put beautiful food photos because it's Malaysia, right? So okay, so like I say, common pattern. One of my favorite is drag and drop, right? So anyone use like Trello, like Bitbucket, Jira? I mean not Bitbucket, Jira, right? You have this drag and drop. You can drag your story to in progress. You can actually drag it to done. So it's a really nice effect. You don't have to actually click done from the menu all the time. You can just drag your story into done. So to be honest, right? If you will have to build your own drag and drop, who actually try to build their own logic drag and drop before? You know how hard is it, right? Right? You know how hard is it? So it's not easy. It's not fun, right? You want to show people the effect. You don't want to show people what happened behind. You don't want to build that, right? And with this, you can easily make drag and drop interaction without writing your own logic, right? I'm going to show it in a bit. Okay, just some about drag and drop, right? You can easily declare a drag and drop interface with using the Angular directive, and they support a lot of features, like dragging along the same axis, and then you can actually drag the item from one container to another container. So out of the box, right? CDK drag and drop support this one. So yep. So oops. Okay. So I think live demo is actually make more sense than just looking at the slide. I'm going to do some typing. So while I'm typing, it's going to have some awkward silence. So bear with me. I try to type fast, but when you type fast, things go wrong. So I rather just take it slow. Okay, let's have some drag and drop demo. Yep. So I went to this conference. I saw the Google Developer Relationship Guide. He actually giving me a tips. If you're going to do a live coding, you're going to master one-hand typing. So I'm going to try do that. All right. So okay. So in my talk description, I actually talk about I'm going to demo using a schematic. So so who actually not using schematic to generate component? Do you know what is the schematic? No. Okay, I'm going to show you. Okay, so schematic is just some convenient way for you to scaffold the items inside Angular, like components, directive. You don't have to actually create your own directive. You can just do a command, and then it will generate the component for you. Okay, so I'm going to do. Okay, let's start with a basic drag and drop. okay? So we're going to have a basic drag and drop. So this is schematic command, okay? So this is by Angular CLI. You can just use this command to generate your component. Okay, so now we have this component. Awesome. So we're going to define a route for it. Okay, let's call it drag basic. Here you go. Oops. Right. So you have your drag basic. So let's see. Look here. So we have drag basic. So voila. So you have your component ready. So now it might look a little bit magic for you, but I actually prepared some of the styling. So don't mind about the styling because I already write some CSS code. So it might look a little bit magic for you. Okay, so we want to do a most basic drag and drop. We want to make something draggable. Okay, I created a card, right? I have a div. I have something called the app card. Let's see what it look like. Okay, you have a very simple card, right? Angular. So it's still not draggable yet. So how do we make it drag? Okay. And here you go. Magic. No clap. Are you not impressed by this? Anyone not impressed by this? Right? You should be impressed by this, right? This actually saves tons of your time, right? In order to make this work, you have to install some library and all those things. You have to make all those complicated logic to actually make this work. Okay, but I mean, nobody want to make their UI just drag like this, like limitless, right? So, okay, now, so the next step, right, I'm going to show you how I apply a boundary, right? The boundary where I can drag without going out from that boundary. Okay, again, it's going to be magical. So let me add a boundary. Oops, I need to. Okay, you have a border, right? So what we want to do is we want to, let these things set drag within this boundary, right? So how do we do that? Okay, let's start with. So magic in 3, 2, 1. Right? Isn't it cool? Right? Is it cool? You want to see more? Okay. So we are talking about dragging along the axis. So I just do one more things. Okay. So quickly. So you see, you have a drag and drop ready in less than 1 minute, right? That's like no-brainer. Okay. So dragging along the axis. Here you go. Right, you can drag up and down, and this one. Okay, so I'm very impressed of this one when I first tried this thing, right? Currently, I'm actually working on some of the project with React and some of the project with Angular. So both are great library and framework. But there are things that I really like about Angular. I like the way I like how everything comes together in one framework, in a very harmonic way. I like how they build toolings around the framework to make your life easier, how you can actually use the CLI to update your packages and all the stuff. Those are the things that I really like about Angular, right? So, and now here we have this thing, right? directive, right? It's something that really underrated. I think not many people are actually using directive, right? But directive is actually the foundation of the component. So it gives meanings. It gives meanings to your component, right? It gives you capability to actually manipulate your DOMs, and make it more interactive. So I think people should use more directive. By the way, component is one type of directive. Okay. So next, let's do a little bit more on the another. Just I think, do we have time? 40. I have 10 minutes left. So I just quickly do a list one. So bear with me with the awkward silence. It's not easy to do live coding. The first time I do live coding, I screw up like really, really badly. So I learned my lesson. I actually do a lot of practice this time. And I make my demo easier, so I'm safe. So just to prove that it works. Oops. One more. So, CDK, drag. Magic. Thank you. So these are very simple like demo that I show. But if you want to explore more, I have one tips for you. You can actually use the what they call the schematic. So Angular CDK, they provide this nice little CDK for you to kickstart your drag and drop component. So you can simply do this NUG Angular /CDK drag and drag to do, and it will generate it will actually generate a sample component for you. So you get to see. Okay. So let me just wire up. Here you go. So just by typing one command, you have this drag and drop example ready that you can play around. You can drag within the list, and you can also drag into another list, which is another magic. Yes. It works. Huh? Right? I have fast. Yes, you should be fast, right? As a UI developer, the most important thing is to be fast, right? You don't deal with like complicated logic, so you need to be fast, right? When your client say, "I want this plug," this is drag and drop, then you have this table and all this. So that's how you impress your. It's how you should impress your client. Okay, so I might be running. Out of time a little bit. I still have a few minutes left, so I just quickly go through some of the things that I really like about from this CDK. Like for example, this one layout. You are able to when you are doing responsive design, they're able to tell which kind of viewport are you in right now. So this is how it looked like. So you're actually able to observe the breakpoint change, and then tweak your UI according to the viewpoint. We have another one. It's very similar. It's a score platform. It's similar. It also helps you to detect your which platform are you on, which browser, and which engine that you're on. So, like for example, this is the one I screenshot from my computer. So I'm using Chrome. So you see here the Blink. So I'm running on Blink engine. So they also able to tell you what kind of cable input is supported in your browser. So this is just two. Okay, this is also something nice that I like. So in Angular, right, sometimes we deal with dynamic components. So you have this condition where when this condition happens, you load this component. When that happens, use another component. So you're dealing with dynamic component. What you do, you usually use if and else, right? But what happens if you have like tons of dynamic components, right? So this really come really handy. So you actually, just quick example, I'm not sure whether I have time. Yeah, oops, I got this ready. So yeah, you can dynamically change the component, right? Without the if and else. Yep, back to the slide. And then you have this accessibility. The A11Y stand for accessibility. So something like you are able to navigate using your keyboard. You're able to detect whether you focus some element using the keyboard or mouse. It's a great tool to help you to make your app more accessible. But you can explore after this. So and we have scrolling, but people will ask me, why do I need scrolling? Because I can just use the container with the overflow auto. So just a very, very quick example demo to show why do we need that. So you see here, I'm actually generate like 100,000 item. So usually when you render 100,000 item, basically your page is frozen because too much of memory consumed. So, but then you see this Visual Code actually look very smooth. The reason behind is because whoops, so deep. So you see on the screen here, they only render like a few items within this viewport. So when we scroll, they only render this much of item. That's why the performance is actually better. So my point here is, right, you can make that yourself, but can you guarantee the performance of the thing that you build, right? Do you want to spend so much of time just to fine tuning the UI performance? No, you don't want. You want to make cool stuff and show to your client faster. So that's the reason you need to use something like that. Right. So oops, I just demoed that. Okay, so last but not least, beside the common behavior and a pattern, they also start to build some component-specific behavior, right? That you can use without using the Angular material. So like right now they have the tree view, table, and stepper. So I'm not going to cover this thing, but I hope you guys can go and explore. And lastly, right, beside all those things that I just spoke about, these are the coming features that they are currently working on, and we're expecting this to be released very soon, so you can start to explore around all these new features. It's going to be a very nice. Hopefully, this help you in your project. Okay. So that's it for my presentation. Thank you, and see you in the Mama Corner. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tong Sheng,
Yeah.
for the magical showcase.
Yes, no joke.